200 years ago, you could ride aboard flying luxury hotels, cross continents in magnetic tubes at 1,000 miles per hour, or cruise city streets in a carriage powered by what was basically a wireless phone charger in the sky. None of that was supposed to exist, yet the clues stare us in the face, from old engravings to vanished patents. Supposedly, all this technology, and the empire behind it, did not just vanish. It was buried on purpose, erased from history by controllers desperate to keep the real secrets of power out of your hands. So how did this lost golden age get stolen? And what are the controllers still hiding in plain sight today? Picture this. It's 1850, and buried in the back pages of an old London paper is an engraving that should not exist. Not some rickety hot air balloon, but a floating palace, an airship the size of a cruise liner, with grand windows, chandeliers, and room for 2,000 people to eat, sleep, and party while gliding above the clouds. You read the date, May 3rd, 1850, and your jaw drops. How could anyone in the age of steam and horse carts even imagine something like this, let alone draw it with such detail? When researchers ran it through the latest AI authenticity tests, it scored 0.92 out of 1, higher than most verified 19th century engravings. The lines, the shading, even the paper texture all check out. Now ask yourself, who had the vision, the resources, and the know-how to dream up a flying luxury hotel before airplanes were even a rumor? And why does every official archive act like it never happened? The image is not just a curiosity, it is a smoking gun. It hints at a whole world of lost technology, a Tartarian empire that built machines so advanced that today's tech looks like cheap knockoffs. Forget the Wright brothers. What if the real pioneers were wiped from the books on purpose, their sky palaces stolen and their secrets buried? If this single engraving survived, what else is hidden in plain sight? Now buckle up, because the next bombshell does not fly. It tunnels. Picture a map of America in 1858, not crisscrossed by railroads, but by something way crazier: magnetic bullet tubes. Dig into the patent archives, and there it is, plain as day, United States Patent and Trademark Office, number 17,642, filed by L. Hartwell on August 14, 1858. This is not some doodle or wild theory. The sketch lays out a system for moving people and cargo at speeds that make today's bullet trains look like toys. We are talking 1,000 miles per hour, underground, in sealed vacuum tubes, coast to coast in less than an hour. No coal smoke, no chugging engines, just pure magnetic acceleration, straight out of a sci-fi fever dream. The patent even spells out the electromagnetic setup, with coils and rails designed to levitate and launch capsules through the earth like lightning. Forget traffic jams. Imagine stepping into a velvet-lined pod in New York and stepping out for lunch in San Francisco before your coffee gets cold. And here's the kicker. The patent was not a one-off. Researchers have tracked down kinetic maps and diagrams showing entire networks, all supposedly built before anyone even heard of the Transcontinental Railroad. The scale is mind-blowing. The only question left is this: who buried this tech, and why did we end up with steam trains instead of continent-hopping maglevs? Now get this. While everyone else was clopping around in horse-drawn buggies, there are actual photos from the 1860s showing carriages with weird brass antennas sticking out of the roof, not some steampunk cosplay, but real vehicles rolling down muddy streets, captured in black and white with all the confidence of a Tesla owner today. The NCSE archives have a whole set: London, Paris, even New York. Carriages from 1862 to 1865, each topped with a metal rod or a little dome, as if they were trying to catch something in the air. You look at them and cannot help but think these are not just for show. Why would anyone bolt a metal spike to their roof if it did not do something? Here is the wild part. The theory says these were the original self-charging electric cars, pulling power straight from the atmosphere. Forget plugging in at the gas station. Imagine your carriage just soaking up energy from the sky, cruising the city while everyone else is shoveling coal or feeding horses. It is like wireless phone charging, but for your daily commute, 150 years before Elon Musk. The photos do not lie. These were not one-offs. You see different models, different cities, all rocking the same antenna setup. It is almost like there was a whole network, an invisible grid, buzzing above our heads, letting people glide through the streets without ever stopping for fuel. And if that was just for cars, what kind of power were they tapping into for the heavy stuff? Next up are machines so big they could drill through mountains like butter. Now get ready for something that will blow your mind even harder. Imagine you are standing in front of a mountain, solid granite, the kind of rock that usually takes weeks to chip through with the best drills money can buy. But in 1856, buried in volume 11, page 203 of the Institution of Civil Engineers Journal, there is a report of a machine that did not just drill, it sang the stone to dust. 18 minutes. That is all it took to turn a block of granite as big as a horse cart into a pile of powder. No diamond bits, no explosives, just pure resonance. Think of it like a giant tuning fork, but way more intense. The machine would lock onto the natural frequency of the rock and vibrate it until the whole thing just crumbled apart, right there in front of stunned engineers. A materials scientist quoted in the same journal called it the most astonishing demonstration of matter's weakness before organized sound. Forget jackhammers, this was a rock-dusting orchestra. But here's the kicker. To pull off something like this, you would need a serious power source. Not coal, not steam. Something that could pump out massive, steady energy without breaking a sweat. And that is where things get even weirder. Because every credible witness at the time said the machine ran almost silently, with no smoke, no heat, and no visible engine. Just a low, bone-shaking hum that made the ground tremble. So what was powering it? That question is the key to the next piece of the puzzle. Now brace yourself, because this is where the Tartarian rabbit hole turns nuclear. Hidden deep in a locked drawer at the Smithsonian, there is a single yellowed memorandum dated 1861. The title was Red Mercury Rotational Engine, Perpetual Laboratory Demonstration. You read through the specs and your head spins. The centerpiece is a sealed glass rotor, exactly 45 centimeters wide, filled with a swirling blood-red liquid that the inventor calls red mercury. It spins at 2,000 revolutions per minute, day and night. No coal, no steam, not even a whiff of smoke. Just a low, eerie hum and a tiny heat shimmer off the casing. The memo sketches out a machine that never needs refueling. It powers drills, lights, even whole city blocks. No wires, no fuel bills. The Perpetual claim is the kicker. The original demonstration was witnessed by 3 government officials, all of whom signed off with wax seals. 1 week later, the rotor and the inventor both disappear from the records. No auction, no museum display, not even a footnote in the engineering journals. Gone. Why? Because if this engine actually worked, it would have wiped out the coal barons, the oil tycoons, and every steam engine from London to New York. You start to see the pattern. Every time something threatens the controller's grip on energy, it vanishes. And here is the wildest part. Fragments of that same design pop up in the patents for Tartarian drills, streetlights, even the rumored anti-gravity cranes. It is like the heart of the whole lost empire was this one spinning forever engine. And the only thing more powerful than red mercury is the lengths they went to bury it. Now picture this. It is 1863, and London is buzzing about a nighttime spectacle that nobody can explain. People crowd around the Crystal Palace, jaws on the ground, as 40 street lamps flicker to life. No wires, no gas, just pure cold light shining through the dark. The story goes that Paxton's crew buried a 120-meter conduit right under the palace grounds, then threw the switch. Instantly, the glass and iron giant glows like a spaceship landed in the middle of Victorian England. This is not some flickering candlelight. These lamps burn steady, night after night, and there is not a single coal cart in sight. The city papers barely know what to call it. Some whisper about etheric currents and broadcast power. Others just call it a miracle. But the real bombshell comes from a single entry in the Crystal Palace logbook, CPEL, 1863, 40 lamp cluster, continuous operation, no fuel required. That is right, no fuel, no smoke, and not a penny paid to the gas companies. The whole experiment is so successful that for weeks, people travel miles just to see the palace shining like a beacon, powered by something nobody can see or touch. Tom Baxter, the architectural conservator, still shakes his head when he talks about it. He has spent years crawling through the palace's skeleton, looking for clues. He says it is all there in the records, the copper conduit, the lamp mounts, even the glass tubes. They were testing something way ahead of their time. And just like that, the controllers swoop in. The logs get sealed, the conduits ripped out, and the world goes back to gaslight. But for a brief moment, the city saw what a Tartarian grid could really do. Streets lit up wirelessly, as if the future had arrived 100 years early. Now, let's talk about the real elephant in the room. The impossible way those massive stone blocks ended up stacked like Legos on city skylines all over the world. You ever stare at those old domes, those spires, and think, how did they even get up there? Forget steam cranes or armies of workers with ropes. The Tartarian answer is base tone lifting cranes, machines that made stone float like it was a balloon. Sounds wild, but dig into the ACLF 1860 experiment, and things get weirder fast. Engineers sketched out horn arrays, giant organ pipe contraptions that blasted subsonic frequencies so deep you would feel them in your bones. The claim is, hit the right note, and a 10-ton block loses half its weight, 50%. Suddenly, one person could do the work of 10 just by tuning the dials. Picture a construction site in 1860. No shouting, no steam, just a low, chest-rattling hum as stone slabs rise up like they are on invisible elevators. The city grows overnight. Cathedrals, courthouses, train stations, all popping up with perfect symmetry. No scaffolding jungle in sight. Old blueprints even show these horn arrays tucked into the corners of building yards, hidden in plain sight. And here's the kicker. Some of those old horn schematics match up with weird metalwork still bolted to rooftops today. Coincidence? Or leftover tech from a time when gravity was just a suggestion? The official story calls it artistic ironwork, but once you have seen the schematics, it is hard to unsee. You start to realize these were not just buildings. They were monuments to a lost science, erased so thoroughly that nobody even asks how the impossible got done. And if these cranes could make stone dance, what else did the Tartarians build that we are not supposed to know about? Now let's rip the velvet curtain off the so-called 1851 Great Exhibition, because this wasn't just a World's Fair, it was the ultimate tech heist in broad daylight. Picture the Crystal Palace bursting with machines. Nobody could explain glass engines, magnetic contraptions, glowing tubes, all tagged with numbers like GX Mech 291 and TL 1852. You flip through the original Victoria and Albert Museum catalogs, and something jumps out. Pages of devices, all logged, all real. But right after the closing ceremony, 27 machines just vanish from the records. Gone. Not sold, not shipped, not even marked as destroyed. The ledgers jump from one entry to the next, as if somebody tore out the middle of the story. Here's the kicker. These were not just curiosities. The missing items line up exactly with the wildest Tartarian tech rumors. Self-charging carriages, perpetual engines, even the infamous soundwave drills. The Victoria and Albert Museum's own catalog from 1852 lists every exhibit by code. But when you track those codes, GX Mech 291 and TL 1852, Both hit a brick wall. No return receipts, no transfer slips, just a blank. It is like someone scrubbed the trail on purpose. A Smithsonian archivist, when pressed, shrugged and said that sometimes objects get lost in transit. Lost? We are talking about machines the size of a horse carriage, not a missing teacup. And yet, after 1852, there is a black hole in the paperwork. The only thing that shows up is a sudden spike in private contracts for removal and salvage. No details, just fat paydays for unnamed contractors. You look at the gaps and think this was not an accident. It is the first move in a global cover-up. Catalog it, grab it, and erase the evidence before anyone starts asking the right questions. Now picture the aftermath. Streets caked in mud up to the second floor, whole neighborhoods buried, and not a single trace left of the machines that once powered the world. This is where the story hits full cloak and dagger, the mud flood cleanup fleet. This was not some ragtag bunch with shovels. We are talking about a silent armada of salvage ships, each one loaded with tech that would make today's heavy-lift cranes blush. The blueprints filed under RG-19 SV 1865 in the National Maritime Museum archives show vessels kitted out with 40-ton magnetic cranes, the kind of muscle you'd need to yank entire train cars or stone blocks from the muck like they were toys. But here is the kicker. These ships did not roll into port with fanfare. They slipped in at night, their decks hidden behind fake smokestacks and boiler housings. Outwardly, they looked like ordinary steamers, but underneath they were pure Tartarian overkill. Reinforced hulls, magnetic winches, and salvage gear straight out of a science fiction comic. The logs mention 12 separate voyages, each one erasing another chunk of the old world, hauling away engines, spires, and even whole sections of streetcar lines before anyone could snap a photo or ask too many questions. Logistics operators, think of them as the ghost janitors of history, coordinated every move. They kept no names, left no paperwork, and worked off a single plan, wiped the slate clean. The RG-19 SV 1865 directive. Spelled it out, strip the evidence, bury the tech, and rebrand whatever survived as newly invented by the next wave of controllers. If you ever wondered why so many Victorian ships have those weird overbuilt smokestacks, now you know they are leftovers from a cover-up so complete it turned Tartarian marvels into myths. But not everything got hauled away. Some of it just went dark, waiting for someone to notice the clues hiding in plain sight. Look up at any old city skyline, London, Paris, New York, St. Petersburg, and you will spot them everywhere. Iron spires, copper domes, and those strange pointy rooftop spikes that nobody can quite explain. You see them on courthouses, train stations, opera houses, and even abandoned warehouses, all built between 1840 and 1890. 12 cities, 4 continents, same story. These towers and spikes jut into the sky like they are trying to catch a signal from somewhere else. Now ask yourself, why did builders from Moscow to Chicago all decide to crown their biggest buildings with the same metal antennas, decades before radio was even a thing? The official story says it is just decorative ironwork or maybe lightning rods, but the patterns do not add up. You can scan the metadata on those old photos, and the dates line up. 1846 in Berlin, 1853 in Boston, 1868 in Istanbul. Different architects, same mysterious hardware. Some of these spires are hollow, lined with copper or even silver, and they are always wired straight down into the building's guts. Does that not feel more like a power grid than a fashion statement? Here is the kicker. Every time a city modernized, these spikes started disappearing. They were torn down, melted, or quietly capped with ugly concrete. But some survived, hidden in plain sight, just waiting for someone to notice. Next time you walk past an old dome or a spire that seems to hum in a thunderstorm, remember this is not just nostalgia. This is the last trace of a wireless energy network that once lit up whole cities, A system so advanced, the so-called controllers had to erase it to keep us hooked on wires and bills. So go ahead, look up. The lost Tartaria power is still all around you, just waiting to wake up. Look around, those domes and metal spikes are not just decorations. They are relics of a city-wide wireless phone charger network nobody ever told you about. The real cover-up is not buried in the mud. It is hiding in plain sight, right above your head. If the controllers erased one golden age, what else are we missing right now? Drop your wildest theories in the comments, and let us blow this open together.